Hello YouTube and welcome to Full Dottle, a channel dedicated to tamping topics such as pipes, tobacco, lore, and more. I am your host, the Bearded Briarman, and without further ado, let's get lit. Welcome back everyone, and on this episode of Full Dottle, I'm going to be doing a first impression of Pembroke. I just recently won this tin from Mel Harris Garbage Man Piper in his giveaway, and so I'm excited to be doing a first impression on it. Also, I got my corncob pipe finished. It is modified and ready to go. The insert that's in the bottom there that sticks out has been shaved off, and some pipe mortar or pipe mud, however you want to call it, has been applied to the bottom to raise the smoking level up. So can't wait. It also has a forever stem on it instead of the original that it came with, making it quite a bit longer, but I really do enjoy this pipe. I've only had one bowl out of it. I couldn't wait to smoke it, so I had one bowl out of it. Really enjoy it. Okay, so let's look at what Tobacco Reviews says about Pembroke here. It says that Pembroke is a luxury English blend. Margate is married with fine French cognac. This outstanding mixture is a match made in heaven. Rich taste with character to match. A symphony of delicate aromas and elegant flavors. So this is an English blend, Latakia, Orientals, and Virginia, and the flavoring that is added is alcohol liquor, which would be the cognac. I've never had Margate either, so I have no way to compare it, but I do like English blends, so let's get this thing popped. And my favorite part, love that. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I know you could very faintly hear it on the last video I did when I opened the Escudo, but whew, I can smell it right off the bat. You can smell that alcohol evaporates faster than normal liquids. And so it was right off the bat, it was telling me, hello. You definitely get the Latakias. You get just a tiny bit of the muskiness from the Orientals. The Virginias I'm not catching too heavy. On the tin note, you get a very heavy Latakia presence with just a little bit of the Orientals, and then the cognac smells sweeter than I remember. I wasn't a cognac drinker when I drank. My alcohol of choice was bourbon. Generally, it was a Gentleman Jack on the rocks. I liked a little bit of that ice melted down. It would give a little bit of a water top. Anyhow, I don't drink any longer, but I never really had cognac, so I'm not sure what exactly it's supposed to smell like, but the sweetness that I'm catching from the alcohol in this is almost reminiscent of a sherry. It's very pleasant though. It's a very common Latakia type English blend smell, and then it's got that topping which gives it a kind of a fruity cherry type scent to it. It smells good. So, so it's just a little bit wet. This is considered a shag cut, which is a very, very thin ribbon. Common shag would be like with your roll your own tobaccos, and it is a little bit on the moist side, so I am going to give this just a little bit of time to dry, and I will be right back with you to light up and give you my first impressions. Y'all stick around. All right everyone, so I set it out and let it dry for 30 minutes. I let the entire tin dry this time rather than just what I was going to use. I think it could use just a little more dry time. However, I think 30 minutes is going to be great for smoking this. So, test draw, let's get lit. Right off the charring light, the room note, I catch just a little licorice. Dud. You definitely get the Latakia from it. I apologize if you can hear my dog barking. It's time for the mail carrier to come around. I try to use the word mail carrier. Now that I have a daughter, I realize that I gender everything. Everything is, oh, he's a cute bug, or his, you know, whatever. It's always he, him, his, because I'm male. So I really try to make it gender neutral for everything, and that's not because of the current situation or anything like that. It's simply because I don't want my daughter to grow up thinking that this is a man's world. I do not believe that. I do not support that. This is a human's world. And so, yeah, I'd still use words like mankind, but when it comes to professions and stuff like that, for instance, the postage system, I try to say things like mail carrier instead of mailman, because number one, I have a mail woman that comes around and delivers mail, and so I try not to use gendered words. But anyway, if you hear my dog barking, it's time for the mail carrier to come around. And Marcus does not like him or her. So you get the Latakia right off the bat. It's an English blend. Latakia is a very robust and pungent type of tobacco. You get that. I love Latakia. You get that smokiness from it. On the undertone, you get just a little bit of the Orientals, not much though. I'm not catching any Virginia in this. It's hard to say if the sweetness is coming from the Virginia or the topping. We'll see after we get past the midway point, but the topping on it, for me, and like I said, I don't really know cognac very well, but to me, I get that sweetness of like a sherry rather than a cognac, but it's very pleasant sweetness. It's not overpowering. It's a topping rather than a casing. It's basically an English blend with a very mild muskiness and herbalness from an Oriental that has an alcohol topping. And I think it's very good. The sweetness is more delicate than it would be in, say, your Bengal slice. Your Bengal slice is got that really rich, creamy sweetness from the Cavendish. This is not like that. It's like an English. You've got that very forward Latakia presence with just a little of that undertone of the herbal, musky earthiness from the Orientals. I think I catch just a hint of a grassiness, most likely from the Virginias. It's got just a little bit of a bitter grassiness from the Virginias, I think. But it's hard to pinpoint. The Latakias, if the Latakias are the forward player in this. And that topping is very delicate. It just adds a very delicate dimension of sweetness that's not, it's a topping. And for those that are confused, a topping is just lightly applied to the tobacco. A casing is something that the tobacco is saturated in and fully absorbs into the tobacco. Casings are are a full saturation of the tobacco to allow them to absorb them. A topping is something that is just lightly applied generally to the top of a tobacco. Aromatics are cased, whereas many tobaccos are topped. A lot of times they're topped with agents that help them in many ways. Some of them, though, are topped with a flavoring type. The topping on this, though, to me is very pleasant. I do get a little bit of the toast from the Virginias on the Retro Hell. The Virginias aren't offering their unripened type tendencies. I did get a little bit of that bitterness, grassiness from it, but the Virginias are presenting more on the Retro Hell as a toasted white bread. The Orientals are giving a little muskiness that's playing in between that end note of the toasted Virginia, that a little woody toasted white bread, and the Latakia is the main star in this with a generalized topping that's offering a fruity, a lightly sweet topping. I'm gonna have to say I like this. I was very nervous at first. I've never smoked a flavored topping, a blend that has a flavored topping. I've never smoked an aromatic. This is not an aromatic, it's simply an English blend with a topping. I was very nervous that I wasn't going to like it, but I like it. It offers a different dimension to the English that I'm used to. You know, generally with an English, you're generally not going to get a lot of sweet out of it. You're going to get that more robust, earthy, smoky Latakia type flavor, that herbalness from the Latakia, and deep, rich, smoky flavor. But with this, you get all of that, and then it just gives you that layer of sweetness. But at any rate, I do enjoy it. I'm going to smoke this halfway down, and then that way at the midway, I will let it rest for just a moment. We'll come back and I'll give you my final take on the first impression of Esoterica Pembroke. Stay tuned, everyone. All right, everyone, we're back. Got my pipe, smoked it halfway down. Hello, Marcus. And now we're gonna relight and we'll see what we find. Go on, bub, go on. The mail carrier has got him very excited. There's an unusual mouthfeel, like a I don't know how to pinpoint. There's an unusual mouthfeel to it that leaves a little bit of a film on your tongue. But I wouldn't say it's unpleasant. It's just something I haven't encountered before. At any rate, the Latakias are still forward on this. You can tell that the Virginias have gotten a little bit deeper. They're offering, you can distinguish between the sweetness from the topping, which is diminishing, and the sweetness from the Virginias now because they have stoved. But the Virginias still are just not offering very much with this blend. The Orientals are a lot more present now with that musky herbalness that's coming through, and that might be because the Virginias have taken a different dimension as far as instead of being offering that real slight bitterness that kind of plays into the Oriental, the herbalness from the Orientals and that muskiness from the Orientals. Now it's transformed into a more like a deeper woodiness with an underlying sweetness, and so the Orientals maybe are able to come through a little differently. I very much enjoy it. I've never experienced a tobacco with a flavored topping or an aromatic. So, and like I said, this is not an aromatic. This is a flavor, an alcohol-topped English blend. But I've never really had anything that's had a topping before. So I don't know if that mouthfeel is coming from the topping. I mean, I would have to assume it is. And I can see where some in the reviews have brought that to others' attention, but I don't see it as a negative point. It's just unique. It's just kind of unique. Anyway, it's burning cool. It doesn't. I'm not getting any tendency for tongue bite. I would say that it's a pretty smooth blend. I haven't found anything that would tend to be rough on it. However, balance, I'm not going to say that I don't think it's the most balanced blend I've ever had. The Virginias are simply, I mean, they're just not a big player. And you know, as far as for a complex blend, or a balanced complex blend, I just don't, you know, why even put it in there if after you've blended a tobacco and you find that one of the components doesn't offer anything, why not try it without it? You know what I mean? Especially since they already have this blend established in Esoterica Margate. This is Margate with a topping, so why not just take the Virginia out and try it, you know, without? Or, because it's got a topping, why not try it with an unflavored black Cavendish? I think that would be amazing in this. The black Cavendish, it might be a little too sweet for the topping though, because you're not going to get, I think it might compete with the sweetness from the topping. But at any rate, I'm enjoying this. I am nearing the bottom of the bowl now. The topping has nearly burned off. And you're left with a mildly sweet English. The Latakia is very nice in here. I enjoy Latakia. And because of the sweetness of the topping, the Latakia is very well rounded. It's not as, I don't know if I should use the word jagged, but it just doesn't have that pungency that you would find with a lot of very heavy Latakia laden blends. The Orientals are coming through perfectly with the Latakia. Now, technically Latakia is an Oriental that's been fire cured, but the Orientals in this, which Orientals that are not fire cured are generally sun cured, but the Orientals in this are, I think they're playing very well with the Latakias. Latakia is a very loud tobacco type anyway, but the Orientals in here are giving you that earthy, herbal muskiness, and so overall I think this is a very good blend. It just has that unique mouthfeel and just this underlying flavor note that's almost soapy. I don't know if that's, I've heard that word used and I can see why. But I still think that's a result of the topping. It's not something I think is in the blend. Either way, I enjoyed this. Smokes very well. I most likely will have to relight though because I'm gabbing, but this is a great blend. It starts out really sweet with that topping and gives you like a sweetened Latakia, a little bit of that Orientals, and the Virginias kind of stay hidden in the background. They offer a little bit of that, like a bitterness from the zest of a lemon or something like that. Not a lot of citrus, but if you've watched my other videos, that bitterness that you get from the peel of a lemon, with that tint of the citrusy, the tiny citrusy, is present, but it's not. It's very, very mild. So I would say this at first, it's going to give you that sweetness from the topping, a little Latakia, and some Orientals. And then as you smoke down, the sweetness is going to diminish quite a bit as the topping burns off. You get that more robust Latakia, that very woodsy, earthy, smoky type Latakia with the earthy, herbal, musky Orientals. The Virginias still kind of sit in the background, offering a little bit of toasted white bread, and mild sweetness I think is coming from the Virginias. Overall, it's a great English blend with a fruity topping. I think it's great. A very floral, fruity type topping is what I would describe this as. And then that Latakia, man, it really takes me to some it has a lot of nostalgia for me. Latakia brings a lot of nostalgia for me. All right, everybody. I'm going to finish up this bowl. Happy Cobb Tuesday, everyone. My very first ever. That's going to do it for this episode of Full Dottle. And until we see each other again, I bid you farewell and happy piping. Goodbye, everyone. Don't forget to enlist in the Full Dottle platoon. It's easy. Just click the subscribe button. Also, hit the bell icon to be notified as soon as I upload the next episode.